your family, community, and planet. And today, in preparation for Sapbush Saturday, we're going to be making chicken pot pie. And it seems like a very simple dish. You really only need 4 ingredients: a crust, a chicken, vegetables, and gravy. But this happens to be one of the most popular dishes that we serve in here, and people call ahead to reserve it. And I think it's because each of these components takes a little bit of time. But I'm going to walk you through some of these basic steps today, and you're going to see it's not that difficult. The tools that we're going to be working with are very simple. Just some aromatics, the same things that you might stuff Thanksgiving turkey with. Onions, celery, carrots, and I am going to add some green beans later, and potatoes. The first step, as you know, the most important ingredient in any dish we cook here is time. And so I'm going to spend just my afternoon standing here in front of these pots, searing all of these vegetables in fat, and so that they get a little bit caramelized on the outside, and it pre-cooks them so when we put the pies in the oven, they all finish cooking at the same time, so you don't have a pie with like hard chewy potato and soft squishy carrot. Tomorrow when we come back, we're going to combine it with the chicken and add it to our pie. We're now on day 2. The vegetables are cooked, they chilled overnight, and now we're going to make the gravy. And we're going to start with lard. This is 4 ounces of lard for what we're going to do for everybody for tomorrow. You can make a smaller batch at home. You can also use butter if you don't have lard. And you see I've got my pan hot already, and I'm going to melt that fat down. We're big fans of using as much lard as possible in the cafe, not only because of the vitamins A, D, E, and K, but also because it's a fat that we naturally produce right here in West Fulton on the farm. I've got my lard all nicely melted here, and I'm going to add my potato flour and whisk it in. You need to be very careful at this stage because things can start to burn very quickly with potato flour. So I'm going to whisk it until it just starts to get lightly golden color, as you can see is happening right about now. And then I will slowly begin whisking in the chicken bone broth that we have here. And for those of you who say, oh man, I really need some chicken bone broth, don't forget we sell it in the retail freezer out front. And you see, once I stir some in, it kind of gets pasty, and then I keep stirring more until I achieve the texture that I want. And all the while I'm stirring in that broth, I'm whisking away and I'm keeping a medium heat underneath it. That looks like a really nice silky gravy we're getting. Okay, so you see that is a little bit thin, but I'm not going to worry about it because this will thicken as it cools. I'm going to add some salt and pepper to it. We use a coarse sea salt here that's unrefined, just to keep the bleaches out of your food because we care. A little pepper. And that's a very nice base for our chicken pot pie. We are now ready to put our pies together. I've got the vegetables that we cooked up yesterday. I added some salt and pepper and some green beans to this. We have the chicken. This is chicken that we roasted ahead of time and then diced it up. The chicken bone broth gravy, and that's all of our filling. Over here wrapped up is our pie crust, and I'm going to do that part last to show you how that works. And here in the cafe, we serve the chicken pot pies in individual ramekins like this, and we just do a top crust. If you like to do a top crust in a bottom crust in a traditional pie shell, go for it. But what we do here is we do brush the outside of these oven-proof ramekins with a little fat so that the pie crust doesn't stick. And then we go and we add our filling. It starts with a little chicken. Actually, a lot of chicken because we like to give our customers a good portion. And then the vegetables on top. And then we top it off with the gravy. Now I'm going to call the sexy man from behind the camera and bring him around to this side to help me do this. And we're going to get the rest of these filled up. And then I'll be back to explain how to do the top crust. Features of a Sapbush chicken pot pie is that they're gluten-free. A long time ago I developed this pie dough recipe using our lard and butter and our own pasture-raised eggs, and my kids and everybody else liked the recipe so much we stuck with it. People really like it. Don't put this recipe out very often, but I will put it up on the website this week so that you can grab it if you would like it. But again, we really use this because people prefer the flavor of it. And what you have here is an 8-ounce ball of the pie dough recipe. So that's 1/2 of a recipe of what I'll put on the web. And I just cut it into quarters. And I'll use 1/4 for each of these little pot pies. If you're making a whole pie, one of these 8-ounce balls should cover the entire surface of the pie. And if you want to put a shell on the bottom, one of these will be a shell as well. So what I'm going to do is I'll start by just making a little disc here. And then I'm using this rolling pin. This rolling pin is a little bit heavier than a typical one you might find. I have better luck working with a heavier pin, both with my croissants and with these gluten-free doughs. But I don't use the same rolling pin for each of them because you can get particles of gluten in the fibers. So since I make this dough a lot, I use this one that was made for me by Uncle Carl out in Wisconsin. Uncle Carl, if you're actually watching, because you finally got that there internet, you can see that I really do use this pin that you made me. I love the weight. So I roll it out into a circle as best I can. That's as close as I'm going to get. And I just kind of get a gauge by using that sometimes if I need to measure. And then I use this bench knife. A very handy tool if you're working with pastry. And I pick it up and I slide it right over the pie. And then I fold the edges down and crimp them. And then I can take a knife and pierce it through a few holes so the steam would release. I don't know if you know this, but meat pies, especially bird pies like this, date back to ancient Greece and Rome, and then they came forward into 16th century England, and they thought it was great fun then to actually put live birds in the pie and serve it and have them fly out. I don't know how they baked live birds in the pie, but you might remember 4 and 20 blackbirds baked into a pie. But anyhow, there are no live birds. This is what it looks like. When I finish here on Saturday morning before I bake them, I'm going to brush them with an egg wash, which is one egg with 1 tablespoon water and a pinch of salt. I whisk it all together and I brush it on top, and I'll bake it in the oven for 1 hour before serving. And I'll just store them in the refrigerator until Saturday morning. And that's all there is to it. Come see a Sapbush Saturday if you want to give it a taste.